People who have had COVID-19 can get long COVID, even if they had no symptoms or only mild symptoms during the infection. You're more likely to get long COVID if you had to go to the hospital because of COVID-19. If you did not get the COVID vaccine, if you have a disability, or if you have a long-term health condition.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sign1News anchor Vanessa Paloma Bajarnik. Here's a quick look at the top trending international news stories making headlines today. If you post an interesting comment about this update, we may add it at the bottom of the screen. The death toll has surpassed 42,000 across Turkey and Syria following last week's devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake. But despite the despair and devastation, there is also hope. If rescuers hear anything that sounds like a human noise, they tell everyone to be quiet so they can listen carefully. And miraculously, 11 days after the disaster, people are still being pulled alive from the rubble. 278 hours after the earthquake, a 45-year-old man was rescued alive in Turkey. Officials say the man was conscious and he was pulled from the rubble of an apartment and taken to the hospital. Local news reports the man's condition is not known. A woman who was buried in the rubble for 258 hours was rescued alive. Unfortunately, the woman's husband and 2 children are still under the rubble. And here is a happy update from Syria. A baby who was born under the rubble of a collapsed building appears to be doing well. After surviving 10 hours under the ruins of her family's home, a doctor says baby Aya is in good condition and does not need additional help. The doctor and his wife are taking care of the infant for now. Authorities are trying to confirm the identity of a person who might be related to the baby. Last week, we told you about the group of rescue dogs from Mexico who were sent to Turkey to assist in the search and rescue operations. These dogs travel all over the world to assist whenever there is a disaster. Sadly, one of the dogs has died, according to Mexico's Ministry of Defense. The dog named Proteo was a 9-year-old German Shepherd. Officials did not say how the dog died. Tensions are very high along the border between Ukraine and Belarus. Ukrainian officials remain on alert against Russia using Belarus to mount new attacks. Kyiv believes the Kremlin's massive attack may already be underway. And Russian President Vladimir Putin could again use Belarus as a launching pad for attacks. The Ukrainians are not taking any chances. They have put up several layers of barbed wire. as well as earth mounds at the border to make sure no one gets through. Belarus says all the measures they are taking are purely defense. But Minsk recently conducted large-scale Air Force drills with the Russian army, and the United States believes Russia is amassing aircraft near Ukraine's border. Also, Putin recently hinted he's even considering placing nukes into Belarus. A disturbing new report details how Russia is operating a network of camps where it is holding thousands of Ukrainian children. According to the report, more than 6,000 Ukrainians, ranging in age from infants to 17 years old, have been in Russian custody at some point since the war started last year. Researchers say Moscow relocated, re-educated, and sometimes militarily trained or forcibly adopted out these children. They identified 43 holding sites as part of the network. The State Department says if this is true, these tactics could amount to war crimes. The Yale Humanitarian Research Lab gathered the information for the report. Russia's embassy in Washington dismissed the findings as absurd. If you remember, 5 years ago, 12 young soccer players and their coach wandered into a cave in Thailand and got trapped for more than 2 weeks. The world watched and cheered as elite divers pulled everyone out safely. But this week, one of those soccer players, the captain of the team, died. The 17-year-old was found unconscious in his football academy dorm room in England last Sunday. He died Tuesday in the hospital. The cause of the teen's death is unclear, but it was being reported as an accident. His mother says her son fulfilled his dream of becoming a soccer student abroad. He was enrolled at the Brookhouse College Football Academy on a football scholarship. In Australia, many couples are turning to micro-weddings as an alternative way to tie the knot without going broke. These low-cost wedding options are now offered by companies all over Australia. Since 2021, a company called Births, Deaths, and Marriages has been offering micro-wedding packages. Only 35 guests are invited, and the cost of the wedding can start at less than $1,200. A normal big wedding could cost $36,000. The micro wedding is so popular, there are 60 more scheduled for next financial year. It took more than 100 years, but a letter addressed to a South London flat finally reached its destination. The current occupant saw the year 16 on the envelope and assumed it meant 2016 until he noticed the stamp. It featured King George V instead of Queen Elizabeth II. The letter was written by the daughter of a sea merchant and was addressed to the wife of a local stamp magnate and started with "My dear Katie." She wrote about a family holiday in Bath, England, and said she was suffering with a very heavy cold. A local magazine is putting together an article about the discovery. But what happened to the letter for the past 100 years is still a mystery. Sign1News will be broadcasting international news updates every Sunday. A big thank you to our Sign1News app supporters. You help make this broadcast happen. You can download the Sign1News app by heading to the App Store or Google Play Store on your smartphone. You can also watch on Apple TV, Amazon, and Roku.